I think it is a problem. I do not think that our little ones should be sitting in front of a computer and doing school and socializing, and they need to be in person. They need the tactile learning. They need the interaction. They need to be around other children. They need to learn to problem solve with other children.
Okay. Okay. Dawn, good evening. And thank you, first of all, for coming so late in the evening. I mean, I know it's 11 o'clock on Saturday and not the great time to do a podcast, but thank you so much. And well, so my name is Avi Brata, and simply you can call me Avi. I live in Dubai. I'm an Indian, and I've been doing a lot of podcasts lately, but then I haven't done one for last 6 months, and I thought of reviving my podcast. It's called Minding My Business, and this is the third episode which I'm shooting this week. And I generally like to talk to people, and I disguise it as a podcast. So it's more like discussion, and for my understanding as well, more than whenever if there is an audience, yeah, they'll watch it. I have a little, I mean, there is a small audience, and I hope it grows. So we talk about different stuff, and this time I decided, I mean, I'll talk about online education because it is the thing. I mean, lately of late for last 1 year, and things have taken a big, it's only going upwards. I think in every part of the world. So I thought, if I just want to discuss things more like, what your point of view is, and I mean, I just wanted to know if what I think, is it what other people think as well regarding online education. So that is what I wanted to, have this podcast about. So, okay, Don, I welcome you to my podcast, and I would like to also I would like you to introduce yourself to us, and whoever is watching us will watch us.
And good evening, good morning for you guys, I think.
Yes.
But my name is Dr. Dawn Menge. I live in Southern California in the United States. And I work with students with severe cognitive delays. I've been teaching them for over 20 years. I have a PhD in curriculum instruction. I'm also a lecturer at the local college, and I mentor other teachers. And I have an educational series that I write that I actually started writing when I was getting my credential. And I do have a lot of experience on the online education. I actually got my bachelor's degree from another state quite a while ago. I won't tell you how many, well, it'd have to be over 20 years ago. But when we started doing that, that's when the VHS tapes were out. So they would record the lectures and send me the tapes, and I would watch the tapes, and I worked at the local elementary school. And they would send my test to the principal, so I would go in there and take the test. So that's actually how I got my bachelor's degree, and that was the first, probably the beginning of the distance learning.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. I mean, that's pretty early though. That's pretty early. And I mean, online education from our part of the world, Dawn, I'm from India, and it's relatively a new culture. So I mean, there has been distance education, that word distance education has always been there, where, there is a university which is providing you, say, hard copy material, and you study, and you attend, I mean, classes. I don't know, back then, probably in India also, there weren't probably online classes available. So I think people had to, even if it was distance education, people had to go for, say, some sort of classes during the weekend or something. So, yeah, I mean, that was what it was, for distance education. That was it. And it's only I think in at least for India, and I think the part of the world where I'm from, at least in last 3-4 years now, there have been a lot of universities which have actually, you just log into the internet, there are online books, you don't need to be logged in full day, there are modules you read, and interaction, I don't know, I mean, you could have an interaction, yes, if there are people which nowadays, I mean, right now we are doing a podcast via Zoom. So Zoom was not
Yeah.
available 2 years back. I mean, people had Zoom, but we were not aware of what Zoom would do, what we are doing
Yes.
to. This was not available probably. I mean, the awareness was not there for this 2 years back. So what in last 2 3 years there has been a large increase of online education, as I said, like you enroll online, you get PDFs or ebooks, what you call, you submit your assignments online, you are evaluated online, and I think nowadays even the degree certificate which you get, earlier there used to be a something like a convocation where you go and you are presented with a degree certificate. Even now it is done online, so everything is online now. So I mean, my whole point of this discussion is like people call the way we used to go to universities and study, that was, say, a different era of education. Now do you think, even though yeah, schools and colleges have opened in most of, let's say 50% schools and colleges in the world have reopened, but would you say that this is the start of a new era now where you would see a child, probably even from schooling, say from grade 1, from schooling up till the university, like do you see children like completely doing their education from home, or like the entire thing, without attending physically anywhere, probably staying in front of the computer, probably sitting in Canada and enrolling in a university in Singapore, or sitting in US and studying from a university in London, you know
Yeah. When I got my PhD, it was all online. So that was recent. That was in the last 6 years. So we did all of it. We had things called colloquials. I'm not sure that was the right word, but we had to have 4 of them, and we would get together for like a week and do some trainings and things. But I did get my PhD all online. My daughter just graduated last year from another state online, and her graduation was online, and it was very disappointing for her. She graduated with a bachelor's with honors, and we're in the middle of this mess that we're all in. And they waited till the last minute to tell her that what they were going to decide to do. And so they did a nice job. They did the music and the pictures of everybody, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so I have 2 children that were in college, and my daughter had already been in online learning. She has a bunch of little kids, she works, and that works well for her. My son, on the other hand, was going on campus, and it got moved to online, and he did not like it. And he was very disappointed in it, and he really needs to be on campus in the classroom. So for colleges, because we're adults now, you have a good choice, which I think is good, because you have people who are working full time and have families, and sometimes they're up in the middle of the night doing their homework or whenever they can, right?
Yes.
And then, but I teach students with severe cognitive delays, but there was a big push a couple of years ago to move K through 12 online, to save money and all of this.
Yeah.
And I am highly against that as a general rule for everybody, because we get so much, the little ones get so much from being together and learning.
Man to man, what do you say? Face to face interaction between.
Yes, you need to.
It's very important. What I feel, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Okay.
It's very important for a child's, growth, even
Yes.
mental growth and everything, for them to be able to interact with other people. And, otherwise, what I fear most, the reason why I wanted to have this podcast is, with everything becoming e-learning, e-education, e-books, are we going to, it will be for sure a society where even you have e-friends, we are already,
Yeah.
we already have, like, there are people who say, like, I have 5,000 friends of Instagram, but I really don't have
Yeah.
one. you know?
Yeah, you don't know them. They're not really
Yeah.
your friends.
So it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not comparing, of course, I'm not comparing that with having friends. You can have friends online whom you have never met.
Yes.
But this could be, I think, I personally feel this is going to be a reality because, yeah, I mean, COVID it's there. We have avoided. You can say we dodged the bullet, but it's still there. And this fear will probably, with all the variants coming out, and of course, I mean, you will fear a 5-year-old to go to his kindergarten, to his first day in school. So probably, okay, let's put him on Zoom. And on Zoom, he's not able to probably, what I wanted to, will this also be a hindrance in, say, a child's growth, probably, mentally, what I'm saying is developing skills, the skills which you would develop, meeting a girl or a boy in school rather than meeting online. Like, will this also in due course, you think this will be a problem, like, growth, like just growth in general, about everything,
As an educator and a mother and a grandmother, yes, I think it is a problem. I do not think that our little ones should be sitting in front of a computer and doing school and socializing, and they need to be in person. They need the tactile learning. They need the interaction. They need to be around other children. They need to learn to problem solve with other children. Otherwise, they don't really know how. And then you still have to go out in the world, at some point, and you just don't know how to interact with other people. So I am not an advocate for K through 12 online learning. It's good for some children. For like some of our children are medically fragile or they have autism. And it's just, it's just too much to be in class. But as a general rule, no, I do not advocate for it. I know there was a huge push for it, and it was like, it was going to save all this money and all this. But you know what? It's in the long run, like you're saying, in the long run, when they're 18 years old and they haven't really interacted with anybody. I mean, you don't know if the families are taking them out, they might just, they're busy, and they're 18 years old and they really don't know how to act in public or with other people,
that is what I feel.
You need to do things. It's not the same thing. Watching a video of someone swimming in the ocean is not the same as swimming in the ocean.
Exactly.
So you really need that, your brain needs the stimulation. So no, I'm not an advocate of it at all. There are certain aspects of online learning that are good. Like, I'm talking to someone on the other side of the world, we are doing author visits, online, and that's great because we can include several classrooms that are on different campuses. So there are some things that are good. You have access to more people, different kinds of cultures. I did a book reading for a second grade class in Paraguay. I could have never done that if I had not been introduced to Zoom. And because I'm a teacher and we all went online, I suddenly learned how to use Zoom and what it was. And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. My aides were much better at it, I can tell you that. But, if I had not been introduced to that and this had not happened, I would not have been sitting there talking to some little kids from Paraguay, reading my book to them, and they were like, I'm going to come there and you're going to read to me in person. I'm like, well, if you can come here, I am going to read to you. But, so you have access to a lot of new things. I've been interviewed by people from New Zealand and Australia and South Africa, and Canada and India, just all sorts of places. And it's just really interesting. A lot of the other countries are really interested in how we're treating our special ed students. So when I start an interview, I think I'm going to be talking about my children's books, and I end up talking about my students or something else, and so it's really interesting to see other people's perspectives. And so as adults, all of this online is giving us access to a more open world, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. But for the little ones, they need the in-person, they need, They need to be running around in the playground. They need to be in sports. They, all of that. They need to get dirty, so
Yeah.
I do not advocate for it at all.
I think I second your thoughts. I completely agree. I think for people like us right now, I'm doing my LLM, Masters of Law myself from a university in the UK, and I couldn't have done that in any regular terms. I would have to leave my job and go to the UK, and
Right.
which is not possible. The reason why even now doctorate degree, PhD, they are available online, and it's very feasible for a guy sitting. I mean, for me, I can talk for myself. Me sitting in Dubai, and you have universities now all over the world, I think, offering PhDs where you are able to complete it by 3-4 years. I mean, there's no time limit as such, but yeah, I mean, I don't have to go and visit a college, leave my job, and it's very convenient. It's very convenient, and yes, for this, I think I agree. But yeah, I mean, for the little ones, of course, I mean, I think this is the time where they need to interact because that's the basic development. um, so Don, another question which I always want to. So right now, I mean, when I open the internet, I see Harvard giving online education. I see Ohio, Penn State. I see all universities in London giving online education. There's nothing wrong. Yeah, you can give all sorts of certifications. So what people tell me, when I talk to a lot of people, yeah, so they tell me, oh, you have to go to Harvard and study. You can't just, that degree doesn't mean anything if you are doing it online. Or you have to go to Stanford and you have to, physically be there and do it. You have to physically be at MIT and do it. You can't just, earn a degree from MIT via all those EDX and, whatever, So I'm like, yeah, but then, my point is for someone who cannot. Harvard is, I mean, the amount they charge for fees is way too much, like for international students. But if people, if normal people from all parts of the world are somehow able to add a name called Harvard in their resume, I mean, why not? I mean, why do I have to pay like $100,000 if I can pay $5,000, get a small certification? I mean, this is again a very different discussion, but I just wanted to know what are your views on this particular thing, you know?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of, doubt about the worthiness of an online degree. Are you really getting a good education? But it depends on the college you're going to. You really have to research it. There are colleges
Yes.
that are offering things and they're not accredited,
Yes.
and it's not going to be worth anything when you're done. I actually had a friend, she's a teacher and she wanted to get her PhD, and it was, I don't remember the college, but it was a local college and it was online. And so I asked her to look it up and to make sure that it was accredited and to talk to her district to make sure they would honor it. And sure enough, they wouldn't honor it. And it was only good for like a small area. It wasn't even good for the whole state, much less another state. And so it was really good that she had checked it out and checked it out with her workplace. And that's what you need to do. Like when I first got mine from Washington, it was another state. That's when all of this was new and I was doing the VHS, and they almost didn't accept my degree when I got a job, because they're like, we don't know, how did you get a degree from another state? Like, they didn't even know what it was, and so they had to check it out and everything, and they accepted it. But you do have to be very careful. College degrees cost money. So if you're going to go to a college and they're going to give it to you for $10,000 or something, I would really check it out. It's probably not very valid, or it's not going to do for you what you want it to do. Because if you're going to go through all of the effort, you should make sure it's going to matter when you're done, And so, yeah, I mean, there's always, you could go in person to a campus that isn't worth anything.
Of course.
So
Of
that's
course.
just, you have
Of
to do your
course.
due diligence no matter what you're doing in your life. And there is a lot of question, people have this just because they're just not used to doing things new. Like, oh wait, you live in Dubai and you're going to school in India or the UK, like, what are you doing? that can't be true, And so it's just people getting used to, yes, there's access all over the world now. And one college, from another country might be just as good as, one down the street. But it's just having everybody getting used to the higher education and what's available. But, you've got to do your due diligence no matter what you're doing.
Because I think, I was checking online, and from India also, I think India has a lot of colleges now for the population it has. But I think what I was checking was somewhere, I just heard a podcast last week where United States is, I think, the only country with the most dense presence of universities, for there are a lot of universities,
Yeah, there are.
offering all sorts of degrees online. Yes, you have to do your due diligence, but if I Google online, for say MBA courses online from US, I think apart from the top 30, you will get another 50 options. There are many. So I think, you have to do your due diligence, which of course is something. But the point which you said regarding, regarding your friend whose degree was not recognized, that is something again which has been happening in this part of the world as well. And that is something now I think will be a bigger issue going forward, how to regulate these courses and online. And I think this will be it will not be an issue, but I think it will take time. It will eventually, there will be a body which will regulate all of this. Something like how your TOEFL, how the TOEFL and the IELTS for UK and US works. I think there has to be a body which recognizes these worldwide. So, Don, while we are coming to an end to our podcast, I want to know your last thoughts. Do you see this as an upward trend regarding online education, or do you think we are kind of done and we'll be back to our physical presence from 2022? Or what do you think? Or do you think online education is here to stay? From, although you don't agree, I don't agree a child getting education at home, but do you think it's gonna happen? I'm asking the same question again.
I hope not. I hope not. We're back in person, so our K through 12s are back in person. We are getting, the illnesses in classrooms. So we're quarantining classrooms or people who didn't get vaccinated. But, everybody's getting back. It was hard. It was hard getting back into the routine. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was so tired. I'm like,
it was hard. Very hard.
But it's really good for the kids to be back in there and to be interacting with each other. And it's good for the parents. And so I don't see that it's going to be a trend with the parents, because now they've had, we were out a year and a half, and it really put a huge load on the families. They're trying to work, and now they've got all these children at home who they're trying to help teach, and they're trying to work, and it was hard. They realized how hard that was. So I don't think that like when we first started coming back, we started with summer school, and I got half my class. And then after a week or two, I started getting all of my students back. They're like, oh no, we want them in class, And so that's where they want their children. They want them at school interacting. So I do not think that K through 12, I don't think it's going to be it might be a huge push, but I don't think it's going to be successful. But I think the university level and beyond, college level, I think it has a lot of benefits. But again, there are maybe 50-50 where people need to be in person too. It matters how you learn, and you have to know yourself, and you have to know, how do you learn? What do you need? And, and do what you can. Sometimes you can do half online and half in person. It matters what classes you're taking, but you really have to know yourself and know what you need. And you have to do your due diligence for sure.
Yes. One last thought, Don, regarding examinations and evaluations. I am from that time. I'm from that era where I had to be present in the university and give an examination, even if it was to be in front of a computer or on paper. But it was in presence of say 100 other students, and there was an invigilator, the
Right.
typical way, but of course, I mean, with online education comes online examinations. And nowadays, earlier, which was supposed to be a case study, earlier they used to do an experiment called open book examinations, and which slowly gained prominence over the years. But right now, I see a lot of the entire syllabus when they test you online. It's called open book examination, open book test, and I sort of I kind of I don't agree with that kind of examination where the person is allowed to stay at home. Like right now, there's nobody in my house, and you send me a questionnaire, and you ask me to answer it in 30 minutes. How do you know I'm not opening Google side by side? Of course, you have. Of course, you have all those protocols. It's there. Of course, I mean it's there. All that protocols are there where you can't do. But I could do. I have a lot of ways. I mean, I could have a mobile over here. I have my Apple phone over here. So I could do a lot of things. So I just wanted your comment on this. Parting comments on this.
Now, I know they're starting, and I'm not really sure how they're doing this, but there's some kind of program, like when my daughter was taking tests, there was some kind of program where they could tell the room, like they had a visual of the room or something, the computer did. And so they could tell if there was someone else in the room talking to them, or, so it was monitoring them. I did not like that, like, because now they have access to your house, but somehow they were monitoring her when she was taking the test. So they've really gotten very great at these monitoring what we're doing with our stuff. But if you're learning online, then the tests are going to be online, and you have to have some honesty, because when all is said and done, you need to know the information. That's why you're going to college. Yes. So you need to know what it's about so you can get a job or do whatever your purpose of going to school is. So that's an internal thing and an honesty thing. If you're cheating through the whole thing and not really learning anything, well, you're not going to have a good job because you're not going to be able to do it. So, it's kind of like sabotaging yourself kind of, but that's a personal thing.
Agreed 100%. Thank you so much, Dawn. I think it's 11:30 for you anyways, and I will not keep you long. And thank you so much for being here with me. And I like all the books over there, very nicely placed.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is what I do for fun. I travel and I write my books, and that's what I do. Can I get a picture? Do you mind?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, let me know when you publish it. And it was great talking to you.
Of course.
And thank you for rescheduling.
I will share the link soon, and it's okay. I mean, we could fall sick, or even I wasn't feeling great last week. So it's okay. I mean, this was a very nice conversation, and I like talking about this stuff, and I always prefer what somebody else thinks as well, apart from me thinking in a way where, I always think like probably this is how other people are thinking. So this is more like verifying my thoughts, that is why I'm doing this podcast, to check if I'm right or I'm wrong, or what do other people think. And
well, it's an opinion. So I don't know if you're right or wrong. Everybody has their own opinion and their own experiences, but I know online learning for K through 12, they had a huge push, all the privatization. And it's like, no, it's not going to work. And so now, because of the pandemic, we accidentally did it. And I don't think the parents liked it very much at all. They're like, no, we want our children in school. So
True, very true.
All right. Well, have a good day.
Have a good night for you, Dawn.
Okay.
Sleep well,
I will.
And I will share you the link soon. And take care. Thank you so much.
Me too. Bye-bye.